Today we're going to be doing the full card reaction and breakdown to UFC Mexico that just took place, headlined by Lone'er Kavanagh and Brandon Moreno. It was actually a surprisingly good card. I thought that there was going to be a couple more stinkers than there were, and there was some pretty good finishes. Let's start off with Damian Pinas versus Wes Schultz. We all knew Damian Pinas was going to destroy Wes Schultz in this fight, because the thing is that Wes Schultz just has nothing on the feet, especially against someone as explosive and fast as Damian Pinas. And the thing is that straight away Damian dropped him with the right hand, and then Wes was trying to grapple and wrestle back up, ended up getting uppercutted and dropped again, and then tried to again work his way back to his feet and then finished with the 1-2 down the pipe. And Damian Pinas, he's got a very good sprawl, and he's able to stay away from any nukes that Wes was trying to throw, even though he didn't really try to throw many. And it was a good performance from him there. I'm surprised that he was able to dispatch of him so easily, having seen some of his last fights. But he's been looking good the last two, Damian Pinas, getting the 1-2 finish in the last two fights. I think maybe the last three now. So it's a really good finish for him there. And he's like a better, more cleaner version of Ateba Gautier. He's very strong, very powerful, and you can tell he hits like a truck. Moving on to the next one, we've got Eric Silva versus Francis Marshall. This was a pretty good fight for how long it lasted. Eric Silva instantly in it just almost chins Francis Marshall out cold with a spinning wheel kick, but Marshall just eats it with the absolute cinder block of a chin that he's got. But early on the feet, they looked pretty decent after that. They were trading leg kicks. Francis Marshall was coming forward with a couple of punches, and then he was able to shoot the takedown. And Eric Silva, he went for a guillotine, but after that, he didn't really have much offense or defense even from the ground. And Francis Marshall was able to just pass over, get the back when Eric Silva was trying to get back up. And there was just no submission defense from Eric Silva, and he got rear naked choked from Francis Marshall in the first round. It was a very good performance from Francis, and he got a well-earned victory here. Eric Silva, though, he's not looking too good in his last few fights. He's gone down to 9-4, which isn't too good of a record for him there. Hopefully he gets one more shot. I don't think he will, to be honest. I think this is the end of his UFC career. Moving on, though, we've got Regina Turin versus Ernesta Carriacate. This was a good fight. This was very fun to watch. I actually got the underdog pick here. I thought Regina Turin was going to be able to get it done. Thought she was just going to be more active and outdo Ernesta. And she did. She was looking good in the 3-round scrap. They were getting very gritty with each other, just throwing in the pocket. And in the first 2 rounds, Regina Turin was just way more gritty, and she was landing at a much higher clip than Carriacate. She was moving forward well, and even when she was on the back foot, she was landing counter hooks and just rearing away from the power of Ernesta Carriacate. She's going to need to get a little bit cleaner on the feet, but she's still very young. She's 21 years old, and that's a very good sign to be able to go 3 rounds and have a war with someone this early in your career. And it was just like a boxing match between the two of them, and I was very enjoying watching it. It was a great fight, and I thought that she would get it done by a decision, and she did. Moving on, though, we've got Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Javier Reyes. De Andrade looked clean early, and he looked powerful. I was worried about my pick of Javier Reyes because he was standing so upright, and there was absolutely no head movement from them. He looked like a patchy mix out there. And early on, he gets nuked by an overhand right. I think he was going for a kick at the same time. And Reyes was able to recover soon afterwards, and he was looking still a bit like a victim on the feet, but he was working his way back into the fight. And then he just dropped Douglas Silva de Andrade with a beautiful left hook, and he just started hammering away with the ground and pound. And de Andrade, he was trying to recover, he was getting better position in moments, but he just wasn't able to recover quick enough. And it was about a minute or maybe even longer, maybe a minute and a half of just straight ground and pound. And de Andrade almost survived through the entire round, and he was going for up kicks with about 20 seconds left to go. But then it just put him out of position, and he rolled all the way over, and Perez just had the backside, and he was just getting the ground and pound straight to a finish with 1 second left in the round. I could see the ref being able to let it go a little bit further, but it was a decent finish. I'm not going to scream that it was an early stoppage, especially since he'd been taking ground and pound shots for quite a while before that. And I thought he would get it done by a decision. I was surprised that Javier Reyes was able to get that done, but not too surprised because Douglas is 40 years old. Moving on, then, we've got Christian Quinones versus Chris Matinho. I went with Quinones to get this one done, and I thought he was going to get an early KO, but he pulled it to a decision. It's not too impressive that this went to a decision just because Matinho hasn't looked very impressive his last few fights, especially getting smoked out cold by Wellmaker very easily. And even his wins on the regional scene before re-entering into the UFC weren't very good wins at that. But Quinones early, his footwork looked pretty good. Chris was just following him around the octagon, getting caught at moments. I think he landed a check hook like maybe once or twice. And Quinones wasn't doing too much either. He was just landing the straight right hand, going to the body and to the head, and he was like circling back around. And he got his own takedown as well, going for ground and pound. And Matinho, he was just pressing forward without cutting off the cage and going for a left hook every now and then. And there just was nothing from Matinho in the first round. Second round, Chris was pressing early, but then Quinones got the takedown as well again. And then he controlled basically the rest of the round, threatening the rear naked choke. A bit of a boring round, stalemate there. And then round 3 again was a bit of a boring round. Quinones looking for takedowns and getting some of them. And Chris Matinho in moments was like going for a leg lock for about like a minute straight. And Quinones just won the third round just from like positionally out grappling him. He had an argument to win all 3. I think he did win all 3 rounds. So it was a decent performance from Quinones. But honestly, I'd expect him to school Chris Matinho, looking at how unimpressive Matinho has looked, especially in this fight. It's like, I thought his wheelhouse was the grappling. I even said the only way he's got to win is through his grappling, and he still wasn't able to do anything to Quinones throughout the entirety of 3 rounds. And Quinones didn't look too good himself out there. He didn't look like he was putting too much steam on his shots. His footwork looked good in moments, but it was also stopping him from landing good damage, and he wasn't really sitting down in his punches. And if Chris Matinho was going to get a win over anyone, it was going to be Quinones. Like, I don't think he's some sort of world beater. So I think you have to cut Chris Matinho yet again, which is a bit of a shame for him there. Moving on, though, we've got Aylin Perez versus Macy Chasson. This was a decent performance from Perez here. It wasn't fun to watch. Like, look, Perez got an early takedown, but Macy was going for leg locks for a couple of minutes, like winning the exchanges as well. And Perez got back up, but whilst in the process of getting back up, she gave her back and she was defending the rear naked choke for most of the round. Macy Chasson wasn't really getting too close to it. She had the position for literally the entire round, and she just wasn't able to do too much of it. And there was a time being where she almost flattened Aylin Perez out, and the ref was like asking her to work, and then Macy instantly lost position after that. And then Perez, with like 40 seconds left to go, got another takedown. And the issue was that for the rest of the fight, like usual, Macy Chasson's fight IQ lost her the fight in the last 2 rounds there. Like, she's got very good skill, and that's why I always seem to be picking her. But she just doesn't have the fight IQ to carry her through to a victory. Round 2 and 3, Perez just looked slicker than her. She was landing good punches in moments. She wasn't really too active, but she was doing work in the clinch, landing nice knees, and she was getting takedowns, slick judo throws. And then in the third round as well, she was just smudging her with the grappling to a decision win. 29-28. It was actually quite close, but Macy Chasson lost it again. She had moments in the clinch. She should be elbowing, should be kneeing, pushing up against, like, when she gets up against the cage, work hard to get out of that position. You know you're not good there. Like, it was a bad performance from Macy. As per usual, we've been seeing this from her very regularly. Moving on, though, we've got Jose Medina versus Ryan Gandra. This was a typical Jose Medina performance. Ryan Gandra came out there like Jose Medina cannot KO him because he can't. Jose Medina, I've been saying this, it feels like for 4 fights in a row, is the worst fighter in the UFC, maybe in the UFC's history. And I feel bad always trashing Jose Medina, but like seriously, why is he in the UFC? Finished in 41 seconds. Yet again, he's finished so quickly. Gandra did come out there like Jose Medina could not KO him. He's sort of like a smaller version of Vitor Petrino with a little bit more slick boxing. And just in the pocket, he was smashing up Medina literally instantly into the fight. And he caught him with a like multiple hooks as Medina was entering into range, and he just kept going. Like, he was throwing hook after hook up against the cage, and Medina was trying to answer back, I think. I don't even know if he landed a shot. It looked like he was going for like one or two, but then landed basically nothing, and Gandra just TKO'd him as Jose Medina covered up and shriveled it into like a ball on the feet. It was a bit of a standing Anthony Smith performance, and the stoppage could have been early because Ryan Gandra was just like wailing on him for that 40 seconds the fight went, and then Jose Medina just drops face first, lands on his like hands and knees, is sort of like almost like praying in front of Ryan Gandra, and the ref calls it. It could have been early if Jose Medina hadn't got finished 4 fights in a row or 3 fights in a row. I would think that that's early, but just because of his past, like, he is just that is just a fine finish there. Jose Medina did not really fight back at all. You can't really call that a bad finish. So, cut Jose Medina and put Ryan Gandra against a proper prospect. He looked quite slick out there. I just don't think he's going to have the head movement for the rest of the middleweight division. Moving on, though, we've got Santiago Luna versus Angel Pacheco. I went with Santiago Luna on this one. And he got it done. I thought he was going to be able to finish Angel Pacheco. But Pacheco looked decent-ish early. Like, he was landing a good straight shot and a couple of jabs early. Luna was blocking well, and he looked really sharp in the first round. And he started to flow a little bit in the first round, landing like teeps and body kicks and landing combinations as well against Angel Pacheco. When he would get him up against the cage, he would just unload with about 3 hooks, 1 body shot. It looked really clean from Santiago Luna, another 21-year-old, which is impressive. But Luna was also throwing knees and hurting Pacheco slightly to the body in the first round, and he was just smashing him in moments. Like, in each exchange, he was much faster and he was a lot slicker than Angel Pacheco. And round 2 came around, Luna was straight on Pacheco, started grappling as well, and it looked pretty decent. Pacheco was looking for an armbar. He almost got that in moments, but was getting back up. He was looking decent as well still in the second round. But Luna was looking a little bit more tired in that second round, and against a more capable opponent that's actually got wins in the UFC, not Angel Pacheco, I think he might have problems. But it was decent. It was a decent performance from Santiago Luna in the second round. He was grappling him, looks very well rounded, and then even when he was on the feet, he was landing good combinations. Then round 3 comes around. Luna looks way more tired. That is going to be a problem if he comes up against like a good bantamweight. But it wasn't too bad from here. And like he had a decent performance in that third round. Even though he looked super tired out there, he was still landing good shots. Even though he was clinching as well, he was kneeing up against the cage. It was just that Pacheco had nothing there for him. Nothing. Even escaped a guillotine and ended up on top, but just did nothing. Like, Pacheco had nothing for him, and I think against a more capable opponent, Santiago Luna will get taken undone, but he's still very good, and Angel Pacheco, like, say what you want, he's very tough, he's very durable, and he didn't really give Santiago Luna too many problems in that fight, so it's an impressive performance there from Luna. Moving on, though, we've got Imanol Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. This was a pretty fun fight. I went with Imanol Rodriguez, and he started off really well early. He was landing good leg kicks on Kevin Borjas and straight punches, but I noticed early on that Imanol looks very, very, like, green on the feet. He was pulling his rear hand away from his face constantly, and everything he was throwing was looking really naked. Like, he wasn't setting things up. Nothing really looked like it was educated offense, and then literally a couple of minutes into the round, Borjas just catches him with a beautiful hook as Imanol just leaves his hand, literally couldn't be further away from his face, and Borjas just cleaves his chin, and Borjas then just starts landing massive shots, drops him again, and Imanol recovered very well after getting dropped the second time, gets into the clinch and lands a nice sweep, and then from there he realized that Borjas has nothing in the grappling for him there, and just smudged him for the rest of the round, sort of like a bit of a couple of ground and pound shots here and there, but it was a bit of a boring rest of the round, but impressive that he survived getting almost slept out cold there, but Borjas' finishing sequences are never very good. That's a problem Borjas constantly has. But then round 2, because Borjas realizes, I hit him with a left hook, he decides, I'm only going to throw a left hook for this entire round, and maybe 2 straight right hands. So for 2 minutes 30, I literally watched it the entire time thinking, okay, Borjas won't throw anything but a lead hook the entire round. 2 minutes 30, all he had thrown was that. And maybe he landed like 1 or 2 straight right hands for the rest of the round there, but Imanol was landing on him and landing on him well. He was landing some good hooks. He was avoiding the constant lead hook of Borjas. And it just looked like Borjas could have worked his way back into the round if he was throwing some nice straight shots, but Imanol was just swarming him with hooks, and to a point it almost looked like he was overthrowing, and some of those hooks and overhands started missing, but then he just clubs Kevin Borjas with a perfect right hand over the top, just gets the ground and pound finish on him, which was very, very impressive. Very good finish after almost getting slept out cold in the first round, but Imanol's a good prospect. He's only 26 years old, but he needs a lot of work. He's very, very small as well, which is quite concerning. He looks tiny. And as a prospect, Imanol, he's very good, but his striking on the feet needs a lot of work. He needs to feint his way into range. And Borjas, for him to be the opponent giving you that much trouble in the first round, I know that Borjas is powerful, but he's very bad. Like, his grappling's terrible, his footwork is awful, and he's not very fast. He's got bad cardio. He doesn't set up combinations. Like, Imanol's going to struggle with some of the elite competition if he's fighting like that, especially. Moving on, though, we've got Edgar Chairez versus Felipe Bunes. This was a bit unimpressive. I thought that Edgar Chairez was going to demolish Felipe Bunes, but Felipe made it very close. Round 1, both of them looked pretty sharp on the feet, and Bunes was, I think it's Bunes, Bunes was able to get to the back, and he held it standing the entire round. I thought he was going to gas out from that, but he didn't really. Round 2, though, Chairez comes back. He's landing straight shots. Felipe Bunes still landing well, and for a guy who's like basically just a grappler, he looked decent on the feet. And Chairez was landing decent, but then it was quite even on the strikes, and then very late into the round, Chairez got eye poked, but then there was 10 seconds left, and that last 10 seconds, he sort of just stole the round. I don't think there was any doubt giving it to Chairez. He was already ahead apart from that. And then just finishing on that, it was good for him. And then round 3, Bunes gets an early takedown, and Chairez kicked him off easily. But then Chairez started landing quite well. He was landing some nice body shots. He was going double shots to the body, hooks to the body, and then coming over the top. And Bunes was just standing there, like egging him on, and then just doing nothing or missing straight after. And Chairez, he was attacking him. He had a lot of visible damage. I still think he won the round, though. He was just outlanding Bunes there. He just didn't have anything for him. And then I don't know how Bunes landed that much damage on Chairez. I didn't see that many shots land, but Chairez, I thought he should have pushed for the finish more in this fight. Like, Bunes isn't that good on the feet, and Bunes would call Chairez on, and Chairez would land one shot and then not go for it anymore. Like, he should have really pressed him, but I get it. Bunes was doing that and then just running away in moments. Like, it was probably hard to catch him, but I expected a little bit more there from Edgar Chairez. Moving on, though, we've got Daniel Zellhuber versus Bobby Green. Oh my god, Daniel Zellhuber. I was going 10-0 in this card, and then I picked you. Zellhuber's not really what we thought he was. He really isn't. I thought he was a dangerous prospect with good range. I thought he used his range well. I thought he had a very good chin. I thought he sets his shots up well. He's got the Eric Nixig. He spars all the time. He sets his shots up well. No, it's not the case. Early on, you could see straight away, as soon as the fight started, I was like, I'm wrong again with the Zellhuber fight. I picked Michael Johnson. I picked Daniel Zellhuber against Michael Johnson. And I'm wrong again with one of these grizzled unks beating Zellhuber. But early on, Zellhuber was just getting schooled by Green, and I knew it was over. Green was putting a pace on Zellhuber with his hands at his waist, bobbing and weaving away from shots. Zellhuber making him look like he was prime Muhammad Ali that he can't land against. And he was just getting his head snapped back by every straight right hand that Bobby Green threw. And Bobby was even going to takedowns. Granted, Zellhuber defended them correctly. And it was just the first round. He was just snapping back. He snapped back Zellhuber's head 4 or 5 times. Zellhuber barely landed a shot on him, maybe 2 or 3. And Bobby Green's mocking him for missing head kicks. It just looked bad. Then round 2, Zellhuber starts very fast, spinning back kick to the face almost. But then Bobby takes him down, and Zellhuber's gassing his legs out with this buggy choke. For 2 minutes, he's holding this buggy choke. You're not going to finish a high-level UFC opponent with a buggy choke. Bail. Straight away, hold the buggy choke for a second to, like, stop Bobby Green from advancing. But then bail, get up from bottom. And then Zellhuber, because he's gassed out his legs from the buggy choke, he just does nothing on the feet. And he's gassed his legs out. So he's got no footwork to move away from Bobby Green. And Bobby Green's swinging from his hips, just landing on Daniel Zellhuber. And both of them are now quite tired. Bobby Green's not used to grappling offensively this much. But he's just swinging and rocking Daniel Zellhuber with almost every shot. And then he counters Daniel Zellhuber coming in with these slow shots with nothing set up. Counters him really bad, I think with maybe a straight right hand or a right hook, I think it was. And then a counter left hand a couple of exchanges later. And Daniel Zellhuber just crumples to the floor and gets almost ground and pound TKO'd yet again. Zellhuber's offensive boxing is really behind what it should be. He's super one-dimensional, and he's got the fight IQ of Marvin Vettori. I can't keep underestimating these unks, especially against Daniel Zellhuber. You almost should cut Daniel Zellhuber. It's 3 losses in a row. 2 of them by decision, 1 to Michael Johnson, 1 to Esteban Ribovic, and then also this one by TKO to Bobby Green. So he's obviously not getting better. I think he changed camps as well, if I'm not wrong. I might say, yeah, he's fighting out of Mexico again. He left Eric Nixick, and now he just looks worse. Not good for Daniel Zellhuber. Another person who is not good for, Marlon Vera. This was a decent fight between these two, but it's exactly how I knew it was going to go down. Like, Martinez early, doing what he usually does, running away, like, not running away properly in the first round, but he's, like, outside footwork, he's jumping around like Marab and then running away like Alexander Hernandez. And Vera is just in the first round throwing a straight shot every 2 minutes. And Martinez is just stinging him with these 3-punch combinations, throwing really hard and fast, running away for like 30 seconds. When I say running away, I don't mean like literally. He's just outside footworking like an Alexander Hernandez would. And jumping around when he's in place like a Marab, ready to just spring on you with the combination. And when he would come into range with Cheeto, he would land a 3-punch combo. Cheeto would never go first. Cheeto would just eat it. It would be like an uppercut, left hook, right hand, and then he would just bounce, come back out of range. And Cheeto was actively looking for just the head kick at the end of the combination. It's like he looks at the Instagram comments and thinks, oh, I got to get back to this prime Dominic Cruz beating level. And it's just like, he's not looking good out there. And round 2, it was much the same. Martinez looked a little bit worse, like he was landing a lot less. He looked tired. I thought that if there was a time for Cheeto Vera to step on it and like win a decision, it was in round 2 here. Martinez wasn't landing too well. Like he was landing all right when he would come into range, but he was also like running away way more than in the first. And he would catch some of Cheeto's kicks. I think Cheeto landed a head kick in moments, and he would just put Cheeto on his back. Like, I think he happened twice or once in the round. And Cheeto just didn't work his way into it. He was just not unleashing, and he was landing when he was throwing. And he just wouldn't go first. And Martinez, a guy who was looking super tired. Where are the body shots, Vera? He's moving away. Throw the body kick for the side that he's running towards. Whatever side he's like dipping away from. Even if the toes land, it's probably going to hurt Martinez. He's tired. The body's open there for him. He's got a big stocky body. Like, he wasn't doing enough. And Martinez's footwork, he's prime for running into one of those types of shots. And round 2, Martinez won it by the skin of his teeth, but still just outpointed and Marlon Vera. And when he landed, it landed hard. Round 3, though, Martinez hit like a Yusuf Zalal type gameplay, and he was running away from Cheeto. Cheeto Vera was landing body shots. Finally, he chooses halfway through round 3 to invest in the body, which is painful to watch. And Vera just wouldn't do enough. He would get Martinez up against the cage, he would land a couple of shots, and then he just wouldn't follow up. He needed if he wanted to actually finish Martinez, he needed like a 5-punch combination, or like a 2 punches weight and then a 3rd kick at the end. Like, he needed something crafty to take out Martinez, and he just didn't do enough. And Martinez looked like he was wilting. He will lose to the bigger level of competition. They're going to beat him. So it was annoying that Marlon Vera didn't go out there and do enough. But we expect it. Moving on, though, to the main event, Brandon Moreno on another loss. against a guy who I really thought, like, Lone'er Kavanagh looked very good out there. He looked much improved from his Charles Johnson fight, but I still didn't think he looked like a guy who I would predict to beat Brandon Moreno. Like, if he fought Charles Johnson and he fought a 5-round fight like that, and then he was coming up against Brandon Moreno, I don't think I would pick him to win. But Moreno doesn't look as good as he once was, and Lone'er Kavanagh looks much improved. Round one, Lone'er Kavanagh was patient. He wasn't throwing as much as he usually did, and he was more so focused on countering Brandon Moreno and being away from those overhands that Brandon always throws. And he was just like staying away from him, landing tight hooks when he was coming in. Looked super composed, made sure he didn't take too much damage. He was making sure, keeping his hand up when he was leaving the pocket so he didn't get slept like he did against Charles Johnson. Round two, Lone'er Kavanagh looked so slick. One of the best rounds he's ever had in his life. And he caught Moreno really, really badly. And he was just like swarming Moreno after he caught him. I thought he was about to finish him to the point where Moreno was like stumbling around, jelly-legged on the octagon, slipped over. He was so rocked. And in that round, he was sneakily landing like a lot of hard leg kicks. He was looking good. He was landing good hooks around the guard, landed a couple of body kicks. He was going with like instead of the usual one that he throws, similar to like a Rafael Fiziev body kick, he was throwing like a lead tight body kick that didn't look like it was using too much effort, which was a nice adjustment he made from his last fights. But then round three, Moreno looked like he was sort of coming back. Maybe that was just Lone'er Kavanagh like having a round off. Kavanagh was sort of throwing these pitter-patter punches, throwing against the guard of Brandon Moreno. He wasn't really trying to take Moreno's head off with counter shots like he did in round two. But he still could have won that round. He was landing some good shots on Moreno, and Moreno was moving forwards and having some success. But Kavanagh was still landing like a lead hook when he was like fading away off the counter, or he was landing like a straight right hand every now and then. And it was a good round. I thought Moreno won it on activity. Then round four, Moreno started just trying to smudge. He was trying to craft his way to a decision, and he was kneeing the thigh for like multiple minutes of the first part of round four. Didn't get the takedown though on Lone'er Kavanagh, which is quite impressive, but I think Brandon Moreno might be a little bit weak in that position. I don't think he's the type of guy to get that sort of takedown. But then he was trying to craft it up, win moments of the round, and try to like, since he probably thought he won round three, he was like, oh, okay, if I win the next 3 rounds, even if I have to smudge him, I will win it. And he was trying to smudge him, but when it would get back onto the feet, he wasn't really landing too well. Round 4, he could have won that round, but Kavanagh was still stinging him in moments. And even though like he was landing knees to the thigh, they weren't very significant strikes. And once Kavanagh escaped, he hurt him with a leg kick really badly as well. Like, you could see Moreno, like, jumping around on that leg, like, knowing... I felt like Joe Rogan when I was watching it, just thinking about the leg. But then Moreno went back to stalling up against the cage. I think you could give that... Like, I think you could give Lone'er Kavanagh 5-0, and I wouldn't be that mad. I would give it 49-46, Lone'er Kavanagh, with just the round 3 being the only one that Moreno wins. Because round 5... Moreno tries to do the same thing, holding up against the cage, but then landed a couple of times in the round as well, but Kavanagh was landing better. And once they separated, even landing like sneaky elbows and like landing some nice low kicks again. And you could give it 3-2, but I thought it was 49-46 with not too much action in the last 2 rounds, but Lone'er Kavanagh just doing more than Brandon Moreno. And I was impressed that Kavanagh lasted 5 rounds on short notice in elevation. He must have done a lot of different stuff, and he just didn't waste as much movement. No takedown attempts, no massive slams like he went against Charles Johnson. None of those massive body kicks that weren't doing too much damage. He looked very good out there. And Brandon Moreno, he's not looking as durable. He's not looking as tough. He's looking a bit weaker. People are throwing him around a bit more. He's not getting any takedowns. It's tough for Brandon Moreno now. He's going to have some rough matchups coming up for him, and I don't know if he wins them. Like, does he beat a Charles Johnson? Does he have that slime-out ability that an Alex Perez? Does he beat Alex Perez? Perez is powerful. He starts fast. Like, I'm going to do a fights to make video on this because I'm interested to see, like, some of the matchups, but it's going to be tough for Moreno moving forward, and I'm loving seeing Lone'er Kavanagh hopefully in the top, like, 7 now. Now that he's beaten number 6 ranked Moreno, I could see them just slotting him in number, like, 9 and moving Moreno down to, like, 12 or something. I could see that, but hopefully they keep Moreno in the top 10. I still think he deserves it. He's only lost to Taylor, Lone'er Kavanagh, and Brandon Royval and Pantoja in the last couple of years. That is a fair few losses, though, when I say it out loud. And Lone'er Kavanagh is unranked now, so you could argue that he's not top 10 ranked, but I still think he should be above like Alex Perez and those sorts of guys. So maybe a number 9 rank Lone'er Kavanagh number 8. Let me know what you thought of the card in the comment section below, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.